Today, Britain's wait is twofold. We await the confirmation as to whether Mr. Gordon Brown will remain Prime Minister here in the United Kingdom, and also we await the true arrival of summertime here across the United Kingdom. We have a deep area of trophiness covering the United Kingdom and across northwest Europe, and that is delivering some very unseasonably cold air for the first week of May. Now, Glasgow, we are struggling into the mid-teens. That's actually generally the warmest air we're seeing across the British Isles. We're seeing London today, mostly cloudy conditions, and a high of 13 degrees Celsius. 13 degrees Celsius, and indeed Saturday, light rain and a high, folks, of 10 degrees Celsius in London. We would expect to see temperatures probably in the upper teens by now, so it is true testimony of how cold this air mass is across the British Isles. Across the United States, temperatures are starting to warm up. You can see the Bermuda high starting to take a firm charge across the southeastern US and across the southern tier. Now, we're seeing a blog about in today's Weather Talk segment on my blog about the Tex-Mex high pressure system, and generally at this time of year we see that the warmest temperatures usually are across the desert of West Texas, and we are seeing that yesterday's high in Pecos, Texas was 104 degrees, so that is, we're starting to see those warm conditions take charge. And across the desert southwest, we're still seeing that the Four Corners high pressure system is generally being nudged across the Texas like we typically see at this time of year, as the trophiness over the Rocky Mountains is still holding firm, suppressing those temperatures across the deserts of the southwest. But through time, we are slowly seeing the heat build. The Four Corners high pressure system is starting to kind of take charge, starting to intensify as that ridge of high pressure over West Texas starts to nudge west. It starts to nudge into the deserts to the southwest. So we are seeing that the heat build across the Sun Belt of the southern states. We are seeing the Gulf of Mexico warm up. I also wrote in yesterday's blog about how the overall setup, the overall pattern that we're seeing now with the temperature profile across the United States, across the south, the Gulf of Mexico slowly warming up, folks. We can see on satellite temperature measurement that you can see the loop current come up through the Yucatan Strait into the Gulf of Mexico, and we can start to see that Gulf of Mexico warming up. So don't be fooled by the fact that the Gulf of Mexico has been so cool over the past springtime. We had a very cold winter across the southern United States, but we are seeing signs of change. We're seeing the typical subtropical high pressure system rule that section of the country. We're seeing Texas, we're seeing rainfall deficits, and those dry soils are going to start to feed back to the atmosphere and start to strengthen that high pressure system across Texas. We're seeing near 90-degree readings anywhere from Houston, New Orleans, up into Atlanta, Georgia. We're seeing that hot, humid, typical summertime conditions starting to take hold. So the Gulf of Mexico, we're going to start to see temperatures getting near normal, and I suspect as we enter the hurricane season, as we move into the mid-June, into July, we get very, very hot conditions across the southern states. If the dry soils continue, we're going to see a hot, dry summer for the southern US, and this is going to start to heat that Gulf of Mexico up. We've got such abnormally warm conditions, folks, across the eastern tropical Atlantic. So we've got a very, very busy hurricane season, I believe, ahead. Joe Bastardi, Chief Long Range Forecaster at AccuWeather, has been hammering home since March the concern he has for a very, very active hurricane season. It's concerning me, it's concerning people like Joe Bastardi, Phil Klotzbach at the Colorado State University, that this is going to be a very busy, active hurricane season. So I suggest folks in the Gulf Coast, anywhere from Brownsville, Texas, all the way across to the Florida Panhandle, and all the way up the east coast, temperatures are above normal across the tropical Atlantic, and we're going to see that continue, folks. So it is important that folks in the hurricane zone be on your guard, have a hurricane plan set out. We've had a couple of years where conditions have been less favourable for many parts of the United States. This year looks very different, very different. So be prepared and be ready. Keep checking back with AccuWeather's Chief Long Range Forecaster Joe Bastardi and the rest of the team at AccuWeather. They've also got folks at the Weather Channel that are keeping you up to speed as the latest conditions in the Atlantic. So it's important that we keep track of this. The British summer, it looks very, very similar, folks, to 2005 as well, in terms of the summertime pattern that could be evolving here in the United Kingdom. I've hammered home for the past few months now that this is going to be a warmer, drier summer. Conditions are cool at the moment, but we are seeing that the atmosphere changing. It's becoming more into a summertime pattern, and we did see a dry and a very hot spell, particularly across July here in the United Kingdom, all the way up into Glasgow, up to Inverness, where conditions were dry. We've seen high pressure take charge, and we've seen very warm conditions. That was in summer 2005. Indeed, the pattern across the tropics looks very similar to 2005, unfortunately. We remember Katrina, Rita, Wilma. That was a very, very bad year, and unfortunately, folks, conditions are looking very similar to 2005. So an interesting year. It looks favourable for us here in the UK, certainly for warmer, drier conditions, and unfortunately for folks in the hurricane zone, I would really suggest that you firmly look out your hurricane plan to see and get everything organised. That's it for today's blog. Thanks for joining us, and I hope you have a great day.